What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we are heading into Destiny 2 with the weekly reset and the new episode Heresy, and it's the 4th of February. So today we are going to take a look at some of the new rewards for Heresy, as well as updated vendors and a few weekly reset items, but it also gives us a chance to look at a couple of juicy reward items for Heresy, cover a few important updates from Bungie, as well as highlighting some of the featured rewards and loot in the game, activities for the week, and a handful of other things. So here we go. If you're still playing the game right now, it certainly makes for one of the more interesting weeks that we've had for a little while. Let us know any first impressions you have of Heresy content down below. But now, let's get into the video. And so, of course, it's worth mentioning we are getting a new dungeon this week, but it won't drop until Friday, which will be the 7th of February at the daily reset time. When the dungeon drops, it will be in contest mode, so that'll be the most difficult variant of the dungeon in the normal sense, but contests will be available for 48 hours, and it will become optional, essentially, once the first team actually gets it clear of the dungeon. So if you're looking to run the normal mode and you don't want to do contest, it should become available at some point during the weekend, assuming the dungeon actually gets completed. Otherwise, keep in mind you do require the dungeon key for the final shape year in order to access this new bit of content on Fridays. So I'll keep you posted on that as we approach it. Otherwise, for Heresy, now that we've got a pretty good look at it, we know there is the new key activity on the Dreadnought called the Nether, and that there'll be a bit more of a sort of weekly story rollout for Heresy, where Bungie have indicated that this story will sort of lead us into the Frontiers era for Destiny 2 and close the door on the Light and Darkness saga. So that's a pretty big claim for an episode of content. We'll see how it all pans out, but we finally have the opportunity to jump into it now. And again, give us your thoughts below as we get going. Next up though, as we get into game, we are contacting Destiny servers, so no major revelations on that front, I suppose. It does of course give us our first look at the Season Pass and a few little bits of content for episode Heresy, so we'll see some curious items here in the Season Pass. Also, some new episode weapons, the new support frame auto rifle, and of course, armor and things should be in here as well. I'm kind of curious which armor sets we'll actually be getting. It looks like the Navigator sets of armor will be featured from the Season Pass in particular. Otherwise, sort of typical Season Pass offerings overall. We can now pick up the Lodestar though, the new trace rifle. It has Starlight Beam, where the weapon fires a low intensity arc beam with enhanced stability and accuracy. On top of that, it gets arc alignment, and dealing arc damage from any source aligns the battery's coils, and when alignment is complete, we can long reload to disengage the safety and enable hip-fired Starlight Beams to apply jolt to any target's damage for a short time. Then we can aim down sights to slow the rate of fire, slow the rate at which the battery drains. So pretty cool Season Pass weapon right there. Looking forward to using it, and give us your thoughts below. Otherwise, the SMG that we'll get as part of this episode isn't currently visible, but a couple of ornaments that we'll get access to during Heresy here. We've got Break Shot for the Sunshot, so this is a brand new one. Quite a nice looking thing. On top of that, we have the High Rolling Low Life ornament for Malfeasance, which additionally does look pretty cool. Then there's an Ariana's Vow ornament here as well, and we've been weaseled. There we go, we got it back. This is the Serrate Oath, which is quite a cool looking thing. Indeed, actually right there, I quite like that one. Lodestar also gets an ornament right here called Artificial Sun. Probably a lot of these items will be silver purchases during the season. That's quite an interesting one. Additionally, there's also one for Vigilance Wing, the Strider's Pinion here, which is rather curious. Plus, Polaris Lance will get a new one called Heavy Duty. And while we can't see the Barrow Dyad in-game, and of course the pattern not being required because it will be a craftable exotic, there will be an ornament called Twin Souled for this one, which Bungie did preview the other day, but that's a sort of Dreaming City style thing. Spoiler alert right here, there's always the Flower Games stamp as well, which is for a linear fusion rifle called Finality's Auger. So we'll have a quick preview of this one right here. Very interesting indeed, and potentially something that will come from the dungeon or some other kind of secret for the episode. I would guess this is probably a dungeon thing, but looks pretty cool right there. Otherwise, we don't know any additional details just yet. But if you want to check out other items inside of the ornament collection right there, you can, as always, do it. For a quick look at the Eververse store, though, as we contact Destiny servers still, there is the new Star Wars stuff. So the armor sets here we can see will cost 2,000 silver. That's immediately visible on the front page. They've also got that new ornament for Malfeasance. Then, of course, we can expand and look at the rest of the sort of themed items from the season. Let us know your thoughts on the Star Wars stuff. But for Bright Dustings this week, we have Jazz Sax, a legendary emote right here, which is up for 700 Bright Dust. We'll have a quick preview of that one from back in Revenant. There's also That's Bait, a rare emote right here, which is pretty cool from Revenant as well for 400 Bright Dust. And then there's the Only the Finest Transmat effect for 450 Bright Dust, as well as the shaders on the front page, which is Rustberry, or Rustberry initially for 300 Bright Dust. And Abyssinian Gold is in the store once again this week. Looks like we might be seeing quite a few Revenant items from times gone by. We have the Chicken Dinner exotic emote here for 3,250 Bright Dust. On top of that though, the Husk Crushers ornament for Dune Marchers is up this week, so exotic ornaments will be available for all 3 classes, I would imagine. That's 1,500 Bright Dust. Then we have the Harper's Shell exotic ghost shell for 2,850 Bright Dust right there. There's also the Celestial Kestrel up for grabs this week from a previous season for 2,000 Bright Dust. Then the Residual Trace exotic Sparrow for 2,500 Bright Dust. We also have the ornament for Slayer's Fang, which is Scorn Mechanica. That one's up for 1,250 Bright Dust right there. Then the Memory of Bruce projection, which is 1,500 Bright Dust. But for the second page of shaders, we have Smashing Success, as well as Jacarina. And then there is the Meditator and Tyrian Abyss, all for 300 Bright Dust. I didn't go into full previews because I feel like I might get kicked any moment now. Finally, for Transmats though, we have Reflection Effects, as well as Only the Finest, and Minotaur Effects up this week, and those will as always cost 450 Bright Dust. So let us know if you'll grab anything right there. And like I said, we're probably going to see quite a few Revenant items. Otherwise, once again, you can check out all of the seasonal offerings for silver. Keep in mind, some of them will indeed be sold for Bright Dust as well, so perhaps hold on for a couple of days until we can see all of those rotations, and then we'll know what's what. Right here, all of the Star Wars themed items, which are certainly pretty cool, but let us know if you'll grab any of those down below. For the Heresy content though, we do actually get automatically launched into a new mission to start the episode, which is Echoed Warnings right here, where we need to investigate Hangman's Pass. So in terms of starting out with the episode, very easy, it will automatically do it, but obviously a little bit of service instability, this early on, but hopefully that will all calm down shortly. Some final rewards to mention here though, outside of the new Heresy content. Vox Obscura should be the featured exotic mission this week, with the Dead Messenger as the main drop. Otherwise, Vault of Glass has been made a featured raid for the week with its new craftable weapons, so if you're looking to pick those up, and you have the time to run it this week, that's also an option on top of the new dungeon and activity content. Otherwise, King's Fall and Garden of Salvation will be featured raids, with Pet of Heresy and Spire of the Watcher being the featured dungeon, according to the rotation. These rotations may change as we head into a new episode, so I'll update them as necessary going into next week. But otherwise, for Lost Sectors, if you want to farm them for any of the world loot or exotic engrams, today we have the Blooming Deep on the Pale Heart, February 5th should be the Forgotten Deep, then we'll be in Savathun's Throne World with Extraction on February 6th, Sepulchre on February 7th, and Metamorphosis for February 8th. And then the current rotation ends on February 9th with K1 Revelation. So that may be an additional useful bit of info if you're going to run any of those this week. But otherwise, as always, you can stay tuned here on the channel for more details on the new activity content, rewards, and key sort of things dropping in this first couple of weeks of the episode. So if you want to stay up to date with that, do us a favor and hit the subscribe button down below, as well as the bell icon if you want to get notifications. And if you've enjoyed the video, a rating really does help us with the algorithm as well. Otherwise though, thank you very much for tuning in today, and I sincerely hope you have a wonderful Heresy week. Otherwise though, I will catch you guys very soon.